Hello everybody! I have my helper Simba here today. So if you can see the live and hear me, please drop a comment. Let me know that you are here. This is for our day 2 crochet slipper tutorial. So we have a previous video in this series for day 1. And in day 1 we covered some basics on measuring your foot, and then we started making the little toes for our pair of slippers up here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and pick up where we left off, which I'm sure it looks like we're going to have some help. If you can hear me, please go ahead and post a comment so that I know that my microphone and everything is working properly. Alright, so picking up from day 1, we need to get this to be about 4.5 inches, which should be about 2 more rounds. Helpful. Beep, beep. I'm okay if you just sit here, but you have to sit. So much help. I don't know, can you guys hear him purring over the microphone? Because to me he's really loud. Hello, Barbara. Nice to see you. All right. Do do do. Do do do. Kitty helpers make every project better. Right, Simba? Simba is one of those cats that he's like, hey, you will pet me now. And he just doesn't take no for an answer. So usually if I'm done petting him and he is not done being petted, then he will jump right back up here and be like, hey, you missed a spot. Hello, other Barbara. Good to see you. Ooh. I just beamed him with a ball of yarn. We have been doing a spin together event, so it's like a competition where, you know, you're trying to get like highest yardage or prettiest yarn. And I was so excited because I own Angora goats, and so we shear them twice a year, and I was actually able to use, hello Lisa, I was actually able to use all of the fiber that I had sheared from spring. So now I get to start spinning up the fall stuff, which is nice. So I'm really looking forward to that. All right. So, to give you a brief overview in case you missed the first one, we started out by measuring our foot in a couple different places. Alright, so that we know like how long our foot is, how big around like the fat part of your foot is, how big the ankle is. And so these are all Tim's measurements, because it's his turn for slippers. But we try we started here on the slipper, and so that's this orange part, and with a size 6 hook, I think we ended up where it was like 9 stitches or something like that. And then we went around and we made kind of a oval shape for the toe, and then essentially what we're doing here is we're just making like a little yarn bowl, so we're just going around and around and around. And this one is getting tangled with all of my other little scrap pieces of yarn, so I'll take care of that. And then after that, we're just basically making a little hat for our toes. And so I'm hoping that by the time I get through this one and the other one that I won't run out of yarn. But this is a really good project for scrap yarn, because you know, you work it in rounds, and you work, I try to work, oh, now I have somebody else straying in here. Oh, I have multiple strands, hang on. Somebody got tangled. There. Let's do this. I will bring out this guy, and this looks like a old single. There we go. Now I have them. But yeah, once we made this piece, we're now making that kind of yarn bowl that's going to go about 4.5 inches and kind of meet the top of your foot right there. And it always helps to have a kitty helper when you're doing this stuff. There we go. So I like these because they're quick, they're easy, they use up scrap yarn, but like I was saying about the using little bits of yarn, you can use those little itty bitty leftover ends of yarn, and you just have to be careful when you're doing it so that you do like this one with a couple of rounds, and then you'll do the other one with the same number of rounds, and so you're kind of using up all those leftover bits, and at the same time you can create some really neat designs. So in addition to being little toe hats for slippers, the shape that I'm working on right now also makes a cute little hat for like a newborn. It looks like they have little ears. So, multi-purpose on that.
I love your hair.
All right. One more. All right, so that's 2 rounds on this one. I'm going to go ahead and finish that off. All right. So there is toe hat number 1. So this is going on this part of your foot or this part of your foot. And now I will make toe hat number 2 to match it. I'm shooting for 4.5 inches in length. And that's right at 4. So we could potentially go one more round, but I want to make sure I have at least enough to get it close on matching the other slipper. So we'll start over here. Now if I'm joining rounds, I try to kind of just crochet over the tail from the last one, And I also try to not start in the same exact place as the last one, so you don't get like a lumpy strip in your work. So my Angora goats have figured out that they can crawl under the fence in a couple of spots and go and, gallivant off in the woods and, munch on stuff. Well, we have one goat, Morgana, that does not like sliding under the fence with the rest of the herd. But she also doesn't like being left alone. So whenever her herd leaves her, she comes running all the way back to the house to tell us that everybody else escaped. And she'll sit there and maa at us until we go fetch them and show her how to get back to her herd. So I did that once yesterday. Went and fetched the herd, brought him back, got him back in the fence. And it's not quite as simple as patching the fence, because apparently they have found multiple places to get out, because that's what goats do, makes their day. And so as soon as I brought them back, they got out again, but this time they left Guinevere behind. So I think Guinevere was sleeping or, something like that. And just didn't get the memo that everybody else was leaving. So she decided that instead of coming up to tell us all of her buddies were going to get out, she just came up front and was looking all hopeful, like, y'all are going to give me treats, right? She's like, my sister gets treats when she comes back by herself. But no, she just sat there expectantly waiting for goodies. Alright, so that is one matching round. I'm going to join it with a slip stitch, and I don't know if I told you guys this or not. I am just using a double crochet stitch. I am crocheting in the spaces in between the stitches, not in the loops. It makes it a little bit thicker, and I think a little bit stronger as far as wear and tear. And then the yarn that I'm using, so the black and white strand is a hand-spun mohair yarn, and then the green is a hand-spun mystery yarn that I picked up from somewhere else. And I'm using the two strands so that I make it nice and thick, and it gives it kind of a neat little variegated look. Oh, now we're getting into that very center of the ball. It's interesting though, because this black and white that I've got was one of the very first things that I spun, and so I think it's kind of neat to actually be able to use it in a project. I think the rest of it went to slippers last year as well, but every year I make slippers for the whole family. But I ran out of yarn before I got to Tim's slippers, and he was like, no, it's okay, I'll just use the pair from last year. So his slippers are really, really sad, and he needs a new set. But my kids like to wear their slippers as shoes. and so they actually wash and dry very well. Now with wool, of course, it will shrink. Not so much when I'm using just straight mohair, but if it's got wool in it, it'll shrink. Stop it. Stop it. See, it's like I knew that Simba really liked sitting in my lap, but I really wasn't expecting him to just magically appear like 2 minutes before my video, so this works out pretty good. He gets to be, you know, on camera and gets to be all special today. You're internet famous, Simba, do you know that? Hello from Michigan. Or to Michigan, sorry. There we go. Lisa really likes my helper. He is very, very helpful. Very helpful. He tries. Alright. So, now we have finished our little toe hats, and I did stop these right at around 4 inches. Alright, no kitty butt in the pictures. Come on, this way. There we go. Sit. So there's our little toe hats, and then after this next round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them kind of flat, and I'm going to kind of determine like where the bottom should be. And then I'm going to do just on that one side several rows of stitches, decreasing until I have the entire length of my foot. So if my little toe hat is here, I'm going to extend it so it's a total of 10 inches long to come all the way out to the heel, but I'm only going to extend it on one side. Alright, so I'm going to switch colors, and this is a lovely wool mix from the Rusted Flamingo. I love her yarn. She was one of the early adopters of the Spin-e-Kube, and most of the yarn that she spins gets spun on that, and I mean, she just does an amazing job. It's beautiful. She's one of the WAFA vendors. I don't know for sure if she's vending this month, but she makes some really good stuff. She does a lot of volunteer stuff for WAFA too. Alright, so like I said, I do need to kind of mark where the stitches should go. So I'm going to make 4 little pieces of scrap yarn, and I'm going to say that we're going to start this one here, and so I'll just loosely tie that on, and then I'm going to say I want the other piece of the foot to start here. Now I'm not going for exactly halfway. I'm going for the parts that just kind of lay flat when I put it down. So if you look here, I've got this one attached here and this one attached here. And so now I'm going to count how many stitches that is in between, roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It looks like 11 stitches. So I'm going to come over here on the other one, and I'm going to again pick that spot where it just kind of starts to get flat. And you can use regular stitch markers. I just always use a scrap piece of yarn. So I'll put that in approximately the same spot, and then count the same number of stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And because I am using the spaces in between the stitches as where I put my hook for the next stitch, that's what I mean when I'm counting stitches, is I'm counting the holes in between my two markers. And this should make it where they are about even, which is what you want. And we'll just start making the bottom of the sole. So start it with a slip stitch, chain 1 to make a double crochet, and double crochet in the next loop. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. Now, that's where it starts. So I am just going to chain 2, flip it around, and work it back the other way. So that counts as 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm getting tangled again. There we go. Where was I? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, just in case you've never crocheted using the holes in between, when I turn to the next row, I chain 2 to make a pseudo double crochet, and then I spin it. And then when I'm crocheting, I put my hook in the first hole, and then I end it in the last hole, and that keeps your stitches straight. It keeps you from, like, you'll see it when you're working on it, it tends to do this and this a little bit, but it also keeps you from going bigger or smaller or different number of stitches. So after about 3 rounds, which for me is 1.5 inches, I'm going to start decreasing just a little bit, because your heel is usually a little narrower than the front part of your foot. There we go. So that's starting to work out pretty nice. And we should be, yep, we're at about 5.5 inches. And we need to get it, we don't want it to be all the way to 10. We actually want to stop it just a little bit before that. So I've done 3 rows. And it still looks like I have a good chunk of the way to go. But by the time I get out here, I want it to be maybe 2 stitches smaller. So with 3 rounds, I'll decrease 1, and then I'll do another 3 rounds and decrease 1, 3 rounds, decrease 1, and final round. So that should work out. So decreases I like to kind of do on the edge. So for that, what I do is I will go ahead and do a double crochet, but I won't do the second part of the double. I'll wrap it again, stick it through the next hole, and do half of the double crochet, and then I have 3 loops on my hook, and I'll pull it the whole way through. And that's how I decrease for this kind. Alright, so there's 1 decrease. And it helps me sometimes. I'll do this. Decrease row 4. That way when I get to the other slipper, I remember, hopefully, where that decrease was, so that they're not off kilter. There we go. Alright, so I've reached the end. I'm gonna crochet my 2, single crochet the 2, and then come back in, start the next round. Now when I get to the end where I did the decrease stitches, it's going to be a little bit difficult to kind of determine where the hole is in between those last 2 stitches. Wherever it lands is wherever it lands. So it's not really intended to be perfect or even, or things like that. So here we go. So we've got this kind of 2 stitches that have been stitched together, and so I'll do 1 stitch with both of those kind of on the outside. So this is the stitch before where I double crocheted them together, and there's the stitch where I double crocheted them together. There we go. And so we've decreased. And once we get done making this a complete slipper, it won't look quite so boxy on that decrease. Alright, flipping it again. Two. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. All right, so let's see, we decreased at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're now like 7 rows in. So let's get an idea of our measurement, see where we're at there. We're at 8 inches, so we're getting pretty close. So I'm going to decrease 1 more time on this next round. And there we go. 1, 2, flip it. So that's round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to write that down. So row 4 and row 7 we did a decrease. Yeah, I lose stuff like crazy. So to me, stitch markers are like earrings. I will never be able to keep track of them or like keep a complete pair, and I give up. But I can always find a scrap of yarn. And so I don't feel bad, especially if you are a person who like crochets in public. You know, I don't mind leaving, you know, little snippets of yarn or fluff wherever I go, but definitely not the stitch markers. So that's our comment from Bev. I am also getting excited because we have been working on Mom's house and we are finalizing the interior painting, which is like way fun. Okay, I'm on that last 2 stitches, so I'm going to do a double crochet but not finish the last pull through on it. Wrap it again, not finish the last pull through, and then stitch them together like that. And so it's kind of a gradual decrease. So we're at 8 inches, and 8 inches is where I would stop at my foot, but Tim's feet are a little bigger than mine, so that's what we're working on so far. So there we go. So now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that sounds right, because we started here with 11, we decreased at row 4, that should have made it 10, and then we decreased at row 7, which should make it 9 stitches. Oh, and I forgot to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 more. 9. Alright. So, here we go. It's starting to look like a slide slipper. It doesn't really have the structure to become a slide slipper. And remember that your crochet will stretch. So we're at about just shy of 10 inches. So we're going to stop there because that's plenty, I think, of stretch for that one. All right. You are the star of the show, but you got to stay on my lap and not on the tape. All right. Slipper base number 1. Now, when I finish this one, which will probably take most of the rest of this tutorial, I'll finish this one. Next time what we'll work on is we'll start building up and around the heel and the sides of the foot. Stay. He's so helpful. He is my best helper ever. All right. So back here with my stitch markers, and there should be 11 stitches. 1, 2. I cannot pet you and crochet at the same time. I just don't have enough hands. He is super, super helpful. In the morning, sometimes, if I'm trying to like type something or do something on the keyboard, he'll just come and sit on my hand. Like, nope, you're not working today. It's like, but I need to. It's like, nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, one row done. If you guys have any questions, this part's kind of repetitive because I'd like to do in one slipper and then the next slipper. Feel free to ask. You know, even if you missed the first one, I can cover some of what we did there too. Other than that, it's just going to be me like babbling at you. But let's see what else. Oh yeah, I'm painting Mom's house. So we started in March or April, I don't remember exactly, building Mom just a little house, you know, a nice little 1-bedroom house for her. And we are finally at the point of finishing up with the interior painting and stuff like that. So we are super, super stoked to get all that done. I'll probably be working on that when I get done here. And then Mom has picked out a really pretty like blue color for her walls and stuff. So I hope to get some pictures posted of that before too long. So I'm working on row 3 now. Let's see what we got here. When my cat helps, he lays on my hand or arm to restrict my movement. Yes, they do. Simba just doesn't sit still. He is always like twitchy and moving, or, you know, decides he desperately needs to take a bath while he's sitting on me. So yeah, they're definitely some very, very good helpers. But they like yarn projects too, you know. Alright. Do I have enough stitches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more. There it is. Sometimes that last stitch kind of closes up a little bit and it's hard to see. Alright, starting on round 4. That's where we decreased last time. So we'll wait till we get to the end. Do, 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 do. Oh, I dropped it. There we go. Try it again. Now, I have this series laid out, I think for 2 more meetings, and it might take both of those to get it all done, but it's kind of neat to think that you can make, using, you know, scrap yarn and a big hook, you can make a pair of slippers in, I don't know, in a good weekend. You know, it depends on how fast you crochet, but I like crochet because it's big stitches, there's lots of holes, things like that. So once again, I have done the do like you're starting a double crochet, but don't crochet through that last loop, and I've done that in the last 2. And then I'm going to pull that around, and that gives us row 4. Alright. Dude, like, pick a spot and sit there. Thank you. Alright, so we should be down to 10 stitches now. So this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that works out good. So we decreased at row 4 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this next round gets a increase, or sorry, a decrease. Does anybody else like count while they do this? Like I tend to do that a lot. Like I can't help myself. It's like going up and down stairs. I have to count the stairs when I go up and down. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, and here are the last 2 stitches where we're going to do our decrease. So do it like you're starting a double crochet, but only pull it through once. So I now have 2 loops on my hook, and then I'll start another double crochet and only pull it through once, and now I have 3 loops on my hook, and I put them all together. Alright, turn in the corner once again, and should be down to 9, right? There it is. Decrease to 9. Alright. Simba, go take a bath somewhere else. Seriously. Oh! You missed the table. Oops. Alright. This is turning out to be a really pretty ball of yarn. I like it. I also forgot what row I'm on, so let me take a quick peep, see how even they are. It looks like I still need to go a couple more. So I did 1, 2, 3, let's get it where I can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 more rows. And we should be good. There we go. And definitely one more row. And it's really okay if they're not exactly the same. I mean, you're going to be putting these on your feet. This part that we're working on right now is going to be rubbing against the floor. So eventually they get a little felted on the inside where your feet go, as well as on the part that touches the floor. But even felted, these things are still like wicked comfortable. Alright, let's see how we measure up on this one. That's right at 9 inches. That looks like it's a little bit more than 9 inches, but I think given the circumstances, they look about even to me. So that is the sole. You have a sole and a toe hat, or a pair of slide slippers at the moment. Just like that. So your toe will go in there, your heel will be here. Alright, so the next piece that we would work on for this is going to be to start building up the sides and make it look a little bit more like a traditional shoe. Alright, so I can take out my stitch markers at this point because I don't really need them. And here's where I'm going to say the next step depends on what type of stitches that you are using. So let me get these guys kind of out of the way. So on here we have from the floor, or where you would put your foot on the floor, to where like we would want the top of the slipper to stop would be about 4 inches. Now some of that's going to be above the level of the rest of this, but if you kind of poof that up, you get an idea of how tall your slipper is going to be to reach the top of your foot. And that looks like it's going to be about 3 inches, so that works out about right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a straight row of stitches that goes around this heel portion. Just like we made the bowl part for the little toe hat, we're now starting to make like a heel bowl on this side. And to do that, we will be working in the side pieces of the yarn. And so for each one of these holes, because I did a double crochet, I will put 2 stitches in each one of the holes. If you started this with a single crochet, you would put 1 stitch in each hole. And when we get kind of to this corner, we're going to treat it just like 1 stitch. So we will go from this row with our 2 stitches and to these row with the 2 stitches that go in there, and then we'll start here at the end where it lines up right with singles. When we come to this corner here, we'll do 2 stitches and then 2 stitches down the side. And I'll show you how I join them to the little toe hat part of it. Oh, I need to pick a different scrappy piece of yarn here. Let's go with this guy. So I think this one is some kind of single, probably, that I wasn't happy with. It looks a little lumpy. I think it'll be just fine for what we're doing here. And then I'll put it with some of this white mohair that I have. And again, they're both kind of lumpy and bumpy. It looks like I may have done maybe some plying in the wrong direction or something, so it may give me fits. I hope not, but we'll find out. So I am starting in the stitch that's closest to my little toe hat, and I am going to pull that through and then pull it through again, and I'm kind of trying to tuck some ends as I go. And there we go. That is stitch number 1. Here's stitch number 2 in that same hole, and we'll just do that the whole way around. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, So once Mom gets moved into her house, we are shuffling some of the boys around in the bedrooms. And they're all excited to start moving stuff and get a new room, or, you know, better windows, or, you know, all that stuff. It's kind of funny. Alright, so now I'm at the corner, so I'm going to go ahead and do one stitch there. I will do a second stitch in that corner, and now that I'm on this piece, I will just do single crochets. And this is the point where you kind of want your stitches to start curling a little bit. So they should start kind of standing up where you went around that heel. So then it's toe, heel, and then in subsequent rounds we're going to go through and we're going to start attaching these to the toe piece. You can also do it with a little bit of sewing. Woo. Alright, now I've reached the second corner on that heel, so I'm going to put 2 stitches in there. Got a lump there. There we go. Yeah, this is definitely some lumpy, bumpy yarn here, but when you crochet, it all kind of evens out as you go. Find the next round of holes. There's one. There's 2. There's 1, 2. Oh my gosh. That was my microphone. I apologize. That had to have been terrible sonically on camera. Can you still hear me though? I'm not even sure why that fell off. Oh well. Mystery. Simba did it. Blame the cat. Two. One. Two. One. Two. And now I'm at the last piece that's connected to my little toe hat. So before I end this round, I'm going to kind of find the spot where it lines up the best, and I'm just going to give it a nice little slip stitch, and that will start connecting it to the front of our slipper, just like that. Alright, so oh, thank you. Bev says she thought a cat dropped from the ceiling. Yeah, I thought so too for a minute there. It looks like we are getting pretty close to time, so I'm not sure that I have enough time to start a whole nother round or work on this one as well. So what I will do next time is I will start on this one. We'll do the repeat of what we just did here, and then we'll keep making rounds until it's good to go. So like I said, we got to get this where it's at least 3 inches tall. So we're probably going to need another 2 or 3 rounds just like that, going back and forth and connecting it here as we go. Okay, and then that is the start of your slipper. Woohoo! All right, I will talk to you guys next time. So we will be continuing this next Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Time, or the same time that we broadcast this today. Thank you much. I appreciate you. Have a good day.